This is the Digital Savage Experience Podcast, hosted by Prokopchuk, bringing you all things digital marketing, tech, business, and motivation. What's stopping you from becoming relentless in all aspects of life? Are you ready to become a digital savage? Let's get into today's episode.
Hey everyone, this is Prokopchuk, and this is the Digital Savage Experience Podcast. Today I have with me Jonny Cooper. He is a British author, piano player, international racing driver, business coach, and founder of JonnyHatesMarketing.com. Thank you for joining me today.
You're welcome, Roman.
Thanks for jumping on. So tell me about your journey. Obviously, you have a lot of talents, a lot of stuff you're doing. How did you get into those, and how did you get to where you are today?
I think it's just time, really. Just a long life so far. I've been a musician since I was a kid. My dad generously got me into music and encouraged me. So I played piano since I was 8. I was pro for a little while in my 20s. Went all around the world, including to the great United States. Worked on a cruise ship sailing out of Miami for 6 months. But, you know, when it came down to it, it was not a career that was ever going to make me rich or even provide a living for a family. The old joke about a professional musician is, what's the difference between a professional musician and a 14-inch pizza? The answer being that a 14-inch pizza can feed a family of 4. And realizing that, I got the hell out of trying to earn a living from playing music. Just kind of fell into sales and marketing as something that seemed intriguing to me. Seemed like people were earning money from it. And I've kind of been there ever since in the marketing space, and evolved as we've all had to, you know, as the internet became a thing, and all marketing became digital as it is now.
Oh, that's awesome. So how do you specifically kind of help clients? How does that work in terms of your structure, types of marketing, types of clients you work with?
Yeah, I spent quite a few years as a kind of generalist business consultant. I'd work with any businesses who needed my help. So, you know, advising on marketing strategies, sales strategies, exit strategies, because I sold quite a large business of my own. And by 2015, I was just kind of burnt out. You know, I was exhausted from being a generalist and doing lots of different things for lots of different types of clients. So I got to studying some of the preeminent kind of, you know, online coaches, everything from sort of Frank Kern, Ryan Levesque downwards, you know, people are earning a reasonable living. And it seemed to me what these guys have all got in common is that they understand deeply what it is they do, and they're able to articulate it. You know, their superpower, if you like, the massive transformational benefit that they bring to the world. So many coaches and therapists are not clear on that. And they've all got to understand as well who it is they work with, you know, who their ideal client is, what their ideal client avatar is. So those 2 pieces of work are 2 of what I call my 3 pillars of client attraction. The third pillar that changed everything for me is productizing my services. So, you know, moving away from getting paid by the hour as a business consultant to marketing a program which people can join. And the program then becomes a standalone product all by itself. And as you're probably aware, you know, people buy products more than they buy just ideas. So that kind of changed everything. And putting those 3 pillars together of being able to articulate what it is I do, who it's for, and how I deliver it, just changed everything. So, you know, if people say to me like, what do you do now, Jonny? I'll say, well, I work with coaches and therapists to help them find more of their ideal clients more easily without paid advertising. And I do that through my client attraction blueprint program. So, you know, those little bits of clarity on what your offer is and who it's for just mean the difference between, you know, a really difficult ragbag business that's bumping along the bottom and a thriving, scalable business that you can take anywhere you want.
Oh, I agree. And I think with 2019, regardless of what you're marketing or how you're marketing, the internet plays a key and kind of adapting with technology. So over time, I've been in marketing since 2009, and obviously there have been a lot of changes in terms of platforms that have appeared. So it's basically going where the attention is, where the people you're trying to reach are.
Yeah, exactly. And if you haven't identified your ideal client, then you've got no chance of making this work. But once you have identified who they are, as you've said, Roman, you can hang out where they hang out, and just build your authority in their community.
Yep, figuring out who they are and who the ideal client is. I mean, a lot of people try to focus on everyone, tease everyone, but you have to figure out who that ideal client is that's going to generate the most business for you and the customer that comes in the most.
Yeah, I don't know how much you or your listeners read Seth Godin, but he for me is kind of my North Star. I just absorb everything that he does and says. All his books are just absolutely incredible, and his latest book's called This Is Marketing, and there's so much gold in there. I didn't think he could come up with any new ways of expressing all this good stuff, but he has. And one of the things that really resonates with me about something he said in that book, in This Is Marketing, he said, if you can get your clients to the point, or even your prospects to the point where they look at what you do and they say, people like us do things like this, then you've cracked it. Because you're building a tribe at that point, aren't you? You're building a community. You're building a group of people who really get you. And when they look at you, they think, well, this is for us. This is irresistible. We've got to be part of this community, of this network, of this tribe. So I love that kind of 7-word phrase, people like us do things like this. And if you can position yourself and brand yourself to the extent that your ideal clients look at what you're doing and go, yep, this is for us. This is what people like us do. Then you're halfway there, to making the business. It's pretty hard to screw it up from there.
Yeah, I agree. I actually had the chance about 2 months ago to hear him speak at a charity event in New York. So he did like a little mini keynote where I got to go and see that up close. So I know who he is. Yeah, I know who he is, and I respect what his position is on marketing and kind of the ever-changing landscape.
Yeah, he's an icon. He's just so good. I mean, there's so many value bombs that I've picked up from him. There's one thing that I changed. There's one thing that I used in a post of mine, and it's the 4-word advertising slogan that might well be the best advert of all time. It's actually a freeway billboard, and these 4 words on the billboard said, "Free coffee, next exit." And Seth held that up as probably the best billboard of all time, but probably one of the best marketing messages of all time, because it does 2 things in 4 words. It tells them what you're offering and where they can get it. And can you imagine if you could do that in 4 words for your own business? That'd be just incredible, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I agree. And basically getting your message out as fast as possible with the limited attention span or the amount of time you have to connect with a prospective customer or user.
Yeah, man, absolutely.
So what motivates you to succeed?
Oh, I'll tell you what it is. I'm very, very, very clear on this, Roman. 2 or 3 years back, I discovered that the average coaching revenue around the world, in other words, the average income for people who describe themselves as a coach or a therapist, is less than $30,000. So in sterling, that's about 23, 25 grand, and that's pretty much, you can earn that if you do well at McDonald's, nothing against people who work for McDonald's, but it just occurred to me that must mean that there's coaches around the world who've studied for years, got years of, not decades of experience, and are absolutely amazing in what they deliver to their clients. So they've learned NLP, they've learned hypnotherapy, they've maybe learned CBT, all this other great stuff, and been on coaching programs for years and years. And the average coaching income around the world is about 30 grand. So I said to myself, well, look, there is a niche for me. But there is a mission for me as well to get that average coaching income up from that. So, my mission that's on my board, on my wall forever, is that by 2025, because I'm approaching a significant birthday at that point, I want to have impacted the lives of 100,000 coaches and therapists by then and improved their annual income from 30 grand a year. I mean, as you know, there are people in our industry effortlessly doing 30 grand a month for starters, and there's a good slew of people doing 300 grand a month, and beyond. So my mission now is to engage with as many coaches and therapists as I can and show them how relatively easy it is to actually get their income up from that crazy median level and start earning some real money, start earning what they deserve. Because, the other great thing about earning money is that your impact goes up in line with it. And I'm sure any coaches listening to this podcast are going to say, well, I want to get client results. I want impact to be my number one thing. And what you earn goes up in line with that. The more clients you onboard, the more money you earn, the more impact you get, the bigger dent in the universe you can make. So that's kind of why I get out of bed in the morning, Roman, to stop coaches bumping along the bottom and to just show them the way to riches and impact and abundance for themselves and for their clients.
No, that's great. That's basically kind of redefining the industry in terms of the reach and what they can achieve with a focused marketing effort. So what's one weakness you've had in the past that you've taken and turned into a strength?
Crikey, I think this has to be the biggest kind of human failing as an entrepreneur, and that's procrastination. It's the inability to make a quick decision. And that often comes from just insecurity, from a lack of self-belief, but also a lack of understanding that it actually doesn't matter what happens. It doesn't matter what the outcome is, and being attached to the outcome is what causes procrastination and what actually causes paralysis. So you actually end up doing nothing if you take that to the extreme. So I worry no longer about what the future holds. I worry no longer about the outcome. I just get started. I just get going. So for example, let's say you're building a coaching program and you're looking at it and you're looking at all the Google Docs and the videos you've made and you think, what if this fails? What if this fails? Therefore, I'm going to put it on the back burner, until I'm a bit more sure of it. Well, that is just a failure trait, isn't it? That's destined for failure. Because if you don't put it out there, nothing's going to happen. Nothing's going to change. So what I do now, instead of musing over what might happen bad if I put it out, I just say, well, let's put it out and let's see, because the worst that could happen is it'll flop and I'll be in the same position as I was before. But what usually happens is that you get some new clients, and it makes a difference. It makes an impact. So I've turned procrastination really into action. So inaction into action, and just saying, to hell with the outcome. Let's just do it anyway, because the only thing we can ever control is our input, isn't it? We can't control outcomes or output, if you like that. That's dependent on a lot of other people and a lot of other things happening. So I'd now just focus on inputs and get stuff done. And more often than not, you get the outcome, or you get some kind of outcome, don't you?
Yeah, I agree. And I think the lack of doing anything, you're going to be in the same place in, a month, a year, 5 years. So trying it, not, being afraid of it failing or not, even if it fails, you still learn something from it and you can apply it to your next endeavor or the next stage of what you failed at.
Yeah, exactly. And, I don't necessarily subscribe to this idea that, failure is noble and, you have to fail 10 times before you succeed, like some people write. But, it's something that you shouldn't get precious about. If you do fail, how badly can you fail? How far can you fall? Back in 2007, even after I'd built a big business and sold it for multi-millions, I was bankrupt. 2007, I went bankrupt. So I had nothing. I had a push bike. But that's about as far as you're going to fall, isn't it? And I'm still here. I'm okay. I was all right through it. I didn't die. I didn't even get sick or any of that crazy stuff. What's the worst that can happen? I think is a great question to inform your decision. And also at the same time saying, well, what's the best that can happen? If this goes well, if this launch that I'm terrified about, my knees are literally knocking together, worrying about it. What's the best that can happen? What if it goes right? Those are things to focus on, and that'll drive you through the pain and through the fear, and you just get on with it and do it. Because I can tell you, for the benefit of all your listeners, even if it all turns to poo-poo and, you lose everything, you can never lose everything. You don't lose who you are, you don't lose your life, and you just get up and start again, So fear's a misused word, isn't it? I don't know how you feel about this, but people say, I'm really scared of that, Fear is holding me back. I think we need to get that out of our vernacular altogether, because, true fear comes from, I don't know, you're in the jungle and a lion leaps out in front of you or something. I mean, that's when fear's useful, isn't it? Because you run like hell to get out of the way or climb a tree or something, haven't you? But fear doesn't apply in the Western world, does it? In our everyday lives, particularly. And fear isn't something we should feel about our businesses and our programs. Maybe you can be a little bit anxious or unsure, but, just get on with it. Just get on with it. What's the best that can happen when you do something?
No, that's awesome. So what's one piece of advice that you can leave with the audience, either personal or professional?
I think a good piece of personal advice is to take determined action every day. Whatever it is you feel like doing, just do it. It's amazing how motivated you become when you actually start taking action. And if you wait to be motivated before you take action, then you've got the cart before the horse. Motivation comes from taking action and seeing success, even micro success on a daily basis. So just getting on with it. And that's not particularly a business tip. That's anything you want to do in life. If there's a particular potential spouse or a new partner, a new relationship you want to build somewhere, just go out there and talk to them. Just go and do it. Don't think about it. So taking action breeds motivation rather than the other way around, I think. In terms of a business tip, I can speak with some authority in my sector, in the coaching and therapy profession. And it's about clarity, it's about overcoming the vagueness virus and just deciding to be something, work out what your one thing is, what your superpower is, what's the big transformational benefit you bring to the world. If you didn't exist, why would we have to invent you? That's a great question to muse on personally. What is it you do that nobody else can do? And if you can get that nailed, and then going on from that, say, well, what type of people would benefit the most from this? Who are the wealthiest kind of people who benefit the most from this, even? And then create a client avatar around that, and then go after them relentlessly in all your offering, all your messaging. Show up in the world to serve that ideal client avatar with the massive transformational benefit that you can bring them. So, the business tip is about clarity. You try and appeal to everyone, you'll appeal to no one. If you're not sure what your offer is, then nobody else is going to be sure either. A confused mind doesn't buy. So clarity, that C word, clarity. Single-minded focus on what it is you do and who it's for, and you can't go far wrong. And then coupled with the big personal success tip of just getting on with it, whatever it is you just try it, just do it. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, you can try something else.
No, I agree with the clarity, and I agree with the motivation. I think a lot of people in business or, entrepreneurship or in executive or leadership roles try to motivate themselves, watch something motivating, get hyped up, and then don't take that action. So motivation without that action is kind of pointless. You have to kind of follow through with that.
Oh, it is. It's just lame and limp and useless, isn't it? Absolutely. And that's why that's why I'm kind of ambivalent to motivational coaches as such. You know, we all know the big names, you know, from Tony Robbins down. Those guys have got it off to a T, you know, playing to people's desire to improve. And, you know, you can't argue with a business model where you can get 5,000, 10,000 people in a room all at once and talk to them. And, you know, they'll leave with a spring in the step. But, you know, long term, I don't think that does a lot of good to people, because, you know, it doesn't teach them the daily actions that they need to do to actually build a business, whatever sector they're in, and it soon wears off, doesn't it? So, you know, Roman, is exactly what you're saying about, you know, motivation on its own is kind of useless. You know, the whole law of attraction thing by itself is useless, isn't it? Daily action is what makes all that work. And I've never felt more motivated in my life than when I've, you know, done stuff and got stuff done. I just want to keep on going. I don't want to sleep. I want to work through the night and do more stuff. You know? That's where motivation comes from. So, yeah, man, amen to that. Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. So I really appreciate you stopping by today. Can you let the audience know how they can find you?
Yeah, it's really simple. A couple of answers to that. So I hang out in my Facebook group, which is my thriving community. It's my greenhouse where I nurture relationships with my ideal clients. It's just called Jonny Hates Marketing. So if you go to Facebook and tap in Jonny Hates Marketing in the search bar, it will find my group. And I'd love for you guys to join. I'd love for you to join, Roman, if you're not already a member. And we can hang out in there. It's a fun, vibrant community. You know, coaches and therapists, fundamentally, people who are changing the world, and I want to help them do that more quickly, as quickly as possible. So that's all happening in the Jonny Hates Marketing Facebook group. So just hop on over there, sign up, and you're in.
Awesome. Thanks again for stopping by.
Yeah, good stuff, Ron. Really enjoyed it.
This podcast has been brought to you by Nova Zora Digital. Find out how Nova Zora Digital can help your company grow online. Learn more at novazoradigital.com. Until next time, all you digital savages.